Welcome to Kidmissing Radio. Today, I'm going to talk about bullying because I'm fed up. I read an article about a little boy who was burnt. A ball was thrown at him. It was fire. An 8-year-old dumped gasoline on a tennis ball and threw it in the face of a 6-year-old. I think people don't understand what bullying is. Because they say kids will be kids, boys will be boys, or whatever. That's not it. It's not it at all. I remember when I was in high school, my teacher taking me over to the elementary school and saying, see, these kids chase each other, the boys chase the girls. These kids were laughing. I wasn't laughing when I was being chased. I was crying and I was hiding. I'm going to tell you something that I've never said publicly. There are only a few people in my life that know this. When I was in 5th grade, I was beat up every day by a 6th grader. And this one particular day, he said to his friend, they used to help him, let's strip her and watch her F herself. I was blown away because I didn't know what that meant. Didn't know what he'd do to me if I didn't do what he wanted me to do, which his friend talked him out of it, thank the good Lord. So I didn't know what would happen, and I'm looking on every side of me, sitting up on this big hill, and trying to figure out a way out. Well, I didn't have a way out, because going forward meant running into them. Going to my left meant running into a teacher who could have cared less. And running to my right was running nowhere. So, virtually. So, I sat there. And, like I said, his friend talked him out of it. I had so many things happen to me on that playground. One kid actually was assaulting me, grabbed my glasses, and they broke. In front of the teacher. She did nothing. This teacher despised me. I don't know why she despised me. Mrs. Whalen, if you could tell me that, please do. Anyway. Some of the kids that were really mean to me rode their bikes to my house to play with me. And my mother called them in the house and they said, okay, why will you play with her out here in my yard? But you're so miserable to her in school. And they said because the teacher doesn't like her and we don't want the teacher not to like us. Whoa, what? Then I read this article today about this little boy. And it made my blood boil. Because where were the parents of the other little boy, the neighbor who was constantly attacking this child? And it doesn't stop. Yes, kids are mean, but kids need to be taught not to be mean. They can be taught not to be mean. Because I know kids that aren't mean, It's just in how you're raised. When I was in junior high school, I was sexually harassed a number of times, generally by the same boy. And it's like, do you not get it? And the thing is, this was in health class. The teacher was always freaking late for this class. I liked her well enough, but she was always late. So I always get stuck in the classroom with this kid doing things like cornering me behind her desk and unzipping his zipper. I kid you not. Doing the tongue thing for French kissing and all kinds of things at me that just never left me. And and that's what people don't think about either. These kids that are being tormented at school, that are coming home crying every day, that is leaving an impression on them. A few years ago, didn't realize it until I got the records, diagnosed with PTSD. Not just from that, but from a few things. And I don't think that grown-ups, when they see kids doing this, think, oh, this kid's gonna grow up someday to have PTSD, major anxiety, no self-esteem, all the things that happen when you're that picked on at school, when you're that singled out. And this little boy was picked on at home by his neighbor. I'm so thrilled that GoFundMe raised $142,000, not only for his medical bills, but for his family to move to a safer home. That's enough money to buy a house. It's just not fair, And when I saw it, I had to come on here. I had to finally get up the courage to tell what really happened to me. That I couldn't tell that teacher that day when she brought me over to the elementary school to show me a little boy and a little girl chasing each other. They were having a blast. He wasn't hurting her. And that's what people don't seem to understand. Do you know what it feels like when you feel like no one likes you? It's a lonely, horrible, depressing feeling. You come home from school every day crying. I did it. And I remember one time I came home from school crying again, and my mother sat at the kitchen table. I don't know if she was my dad, one of the other moms in the neighborhood, but she said, my baby comes home crying every day, and there's nothing I can do, and she was crying. To see your parent that helpless is something you will never forget, and you'll never get over that. I wanted to talk about this because I wanted, first of all, that little boy to know he's not alone. That there are a lot of other people who've been bullied, picked on, and he needed to know that. Sometimes, like I said, grown-ups don't always talk about what happened to them when they were kids. The WWE did a really cool thing a few years ago where wrestlers, male and female, would do these little PSAs talking about bullying and some things that happened to them when they were kids. And that's so important. I used to say when I was a kid, why can't they not judge a book by its cover? Well, what the heck did I think was wrong with the cover of my book? Couldn't imagine. Maybe because I was being told I was ugly. I was being told that my shirt that said the Smurfs love, and then there are lines, and you get these iron-on letters, and your mommy put your name on it, Angie, that the Smurfs didn't love Angie. And I was told that my clothes weren't in style, just anything to upset me. A girl punched me in the stomach because I wanted to play jump rope. Next year we became friends. Weird how that happens. I have been physically assaulted, emotionally assaulted, and I wanted that little boy to know, you're not alone. And a lot of other people should come forward and talk about their experiences, because if we talk about our experiences when we were children, maybe we can stop our children from going through this. I remember when a little boy, who's now, oh good Lord, he's grown, was just starting school, and he had a cleft lip, so he had a scar. And I remember crying because I thought he was going to get picked on and bullied. Crying. Because I can't get past that feeling and worry for all the kids in my life of them being hurt like I was. I don't want anyone hurt like I was. And I know a lot of people were. I don't want it. And I want it to stop. Parents need to talk to their kids. And they need to address their kids if they are bullying, and they need to address it if their kids are being bullied. Now you may say, well, that'll make it worse. Not always. When I was in junior high school, this girl bullied me an entire school year. And apparently somebody told the principal, because she got suspended for like the last month of school. I didn't know any of this. And she, the following school year, cornered me in one of the stairwells. Because our stairs, you went in a door, down the stairs, and there's another door, and like a area on the side. And I thought, she's going to beat the crap out of me in here on this cement floor, and I'm screwed. But actually, it was totally the opposite. She said that, well, she thought I told the principal. I'm like, I didn't tell him anything. And she said, I got suspended for the last month of school last year, and my parents were very angry at the way I treated you. And I am so, so sorry. I learned so much, from this, and I want to be your friend. And she was a very good friend to me after that. So it is possible, if parents get involved like her parents did, that we can stop this and even make friends. And I think of school shootings. How many of those school shooters have said that they were bullied, that they were outcast? And it's funny, because I've heard recently, watching some true crime stuff, somebody talking about a girl wanting to be in with the popular crowd, or no, boy wanting to be in with the popular crowd. Well, what the heck is that? When I was in high school, we didn't really, because my high school was awesome. I have to say this, I wish I'd gone to school all the way through there. Thank you, Sutton, for making such a difference in my life. They, like I said, wanted to be in with the in crowd, like the popular kids or whatever, but I am not sure what that means, because in my high school, we just didn't have that. We basically had jocks and everybody else. My first high school, if you didn't play a sport, particularly football, nobody cared. Because they were obsessed. And they were state champions multiple times. There was a reason they were obsessed. They were the best. Still are. But seriously, a lot of these school shootings came out of that built up frustration and I'm not worth anything because nobody likes me and I'm going to show them. And it's like, that wouldn't even have crossed my mind. But when you've been there, when you've been in their shoes and you have felt like you didn't matter, you weren't good enough, you weren't pretty enough, you weren't anything enough in school, and you had no self-esteem because it had been torn down and torn apart, you understand the thinking behind the people who do these things, even though, like I said, that never would have even crossed my mind. And violence never did cross my mind. That being said, you do begin to understand, and if we can stop the bullying, and we can stop the schools from constantly saying, this kid needs meds, this kid needs meds. Well, you're not the doctor. Let the pediatrician decide whether this kid needs meds or whether you're just impatient. Because my pediatrician got tired of it. They would say I needed meds when I was on meds. And so my pediatrician, like I said, got tired of it, and he didn't give me any more. So to me, it also depends on the school and the atmosphere. My elementary school, the town, the atmosphere was that the people who were upper crust in the town, their kids could do no wrong no matter what. And if you weren't upper crust in the town, you were nothing. To the point that if I would try to defend myself, I am the one that got in trouble. It wasn't until I was in high school that I defended myself one day in front of the vice principal. Oh, good Lord. And, no, it was the principal. Love you, Mr. Grant. And I thought, I'm going to get in big trouble. He's standing right there. And he said, no, you're not going to get in trouble. He said, you will get in trouble if you're late for class. Now move. But it was like, holy cow, I'm allowed to defend myself. I'm a person. You know, I'm a people, me, which is something that it took me a long time to learn, you know. Fortunately, I had a fairly good home life, and I had parents that were supportive of me and understanding. I literally would run away from school and go home. Okay, I'm a weirdo, but I much rather would have been at home than to be at that school. And I just don't want any other children going through that. I was fortunate I lived right down the road, so it wasn't far for me to run away, and my mother would call the principal and say, she ran away. She's here. Not sending her back. And you know, that only happened a few times, but still, it's something that shouldn't have to happen. You know, I don't care if you're in resource room like I was, or if you're the smartest kid in the class, or jock, it shouldn't happen. You know, and people will say over and over again, kids are mean, kids are mean. They don't have to be. Teach them. Teach them not to be mean. As I said earlier, in the broadcast, teach them not to be mean. I just think that when you have a child, you have a responsibility to that child to see to it that they grow up a productive person. They can't grow up a productive person if your son is beating up little girls and wanting to strip her and watch her blank herself. I'm sorry. Although, as I understand it, he didn't have a very good life and turned to drugs. But that being said, or if your son is holding a door closed on a little girl's foot trying to break her ankle, which happened to me in 6th grade. So it's, again, something I've never talked about. But I decided after reading that article, I want kids to know they're not alone. And I want parents to know why I've been so nervous about a lot of kids that I know going to school. Because I worry. Fortunately, my kids that go to school, they're not my kids, but they're kids I consider to be my family, are all athletes, and they're all, you know, they do well. So, that's good. And the little boy I worried about with cleft lip did not get picked on. Because he went to the same school where I went to high school, and in that school it was not tolerated because it was not tolerated by the parents of that school. You know, it wasn't so much this kid is upper crust, this kid can't get in trouble. I literally was assaulted by another kid, and that kid couldn't get in trouble because her family was upper crust in this town, and so they wanted me in for recess every day. Basically to ground me because this person could not get in trouble. Family was too important. And I don't think that should be the case in any town or city or anything like that. I think that every kid should be treated equally. And, you know, I had trouble with my math. And the teacher decided to give everyone ice cream bars except me because I hadn't finished my math and encouraged them to pick on me. Hello? See something wrong here? I would walk home from school in the winter getting ice balls thrown at me to the point that my hands would be bleeding from being hit, not by snowballs, ice balls. I've actually been apologized to by one of the boys for that because he had no idea that it was ice. And he never meant to hurt me in any way. I was an easy target. I was tiny. I was sensitive. I was an only child, so I wasn't used to being with group. I was different. Like I said, I was in the resource room, which is special education. I'm not ashamed of that at all. I worked very hard, and in high school, my senior year, I was only in special ed 2 periods a day. So I worked hard getting out of there. And I just don't think that your self-esteem should be based on that. I can remember saying, and nobody understood what I was saying, that the kids in the resource room are the ones that pick on me more than the kids outside of it. Some of them do, but it's mostly the other kids in the resource room that are so mean. Why? I never understood it, and I never got an answer for it. One of the kids that picked on me was actually my father's friend's son, and he was very quickly told, one of my father's lifelong friends actually, and he was very quickly told when I told my father who it was, and he talked to his buddy, he was quickly told, you leave her alone. And, by his dad, because his dad wouldn't tolerate that. He wouldn't tolerate bullying anyway. But certainly not to one of his lifelong friends' daughters, But he wouldn't have tolerated it anyway. It's just not the kind of man that he was. God rest his soul. And actually, I think they've both passed now. Like I said, I feel like I got the courage to do this because of that little boy. And what I'll do is I will try to find the article and leave it in the description of this podcast so that you can read it if you could stomach it. It's so sad. And I've seen other ones. I've seen kids getting beat up on the bus and beat up, here, there, and everywhere. But this one, for some reason, really caught my attention. And the Lord put it on my heart to come here to do this and to spread the word, to stop bullying. I can't help children the way that I do if I'm not fully honest. And I'm not, I don't know how to put this. If I'm not forthright in saying, look, this is what I've been through, and I don't just want to help the missing, the unidentified, the murdered. I'm about children. I'm an advocate. I was never able to have my own, and these children that I do this for became my children. And I feel for each and every one of them. I remember when I found out that they found Heaven Lachey Ross' body, skeleton. I cried as I was writing that update, and I said to my mother, I said, does this ever get easier? She said, I hope not. And she's right. It shouldn't get easier. Heaven was a kid that I actually adopted on Adopt a Missing Person on Project Jason. There's certain cases that really get to me. I mean, they're all important, but some just hit me differently than others. And even though we're not talking about a missing child, we are talking about an attempted murder of a child. And I'm sorry, that little boy needs to go to juvie because he's only 8, and his parents need to go to prison. You let your kids play with fire, and you knowingly let your kids torment the neighbor's child to the point that your kid almost killed the neighbor's child. You need to be in an orange jumpsuit for a very, very long time, decades. Let me know what you think. You can email me. I'll put my email in the description. You can comment on YouTube, because this will go up on YouTube probably tomorrow. And let me know what you think about this case, about what I've told you. I'm nervous, because I really bared my soul here, and I have never done that before. I've never told anyone except for a number of people I can name on one hand. Literally my mother, a counselor, Diane, I think Dawn, and Doug. I think that's about it. And those are the closest people to me. I just couldn't. I couldn't bring myself to tell. And I think that happens in other forms of abuse as well. That people just can't bring themselves to say what happened because they're embarrassed. And I was embarrassed, that happened. And I didn't know what the heck it was. I didn't know what he meant, what he was going to do to me. The only thing I kept thinking of was, first of all, it's chilly because it was fall. And if he takes my clothes off, I'm going to be here naked and I'm going to get in trouble. That's all I was thinking of. I'm going to get in trouble. Not him. And I just was so helpless in that moment. And that translates to shame. And it translates to not being able to tell. And I'm so glad that I finally said it. And that I finally talked about it. Because it's so important. Doing this over the years, because I've been actually doing this since 2012. I started over on Blog Talk. I've had my website for the missing since 2003. So next year will be 20 years that I've been doing this kind of stuff. And it really has built my self-esteem that was so torn down when I was a kid. And I'm so grateful for all of you listening, for all of you watching my videos. My website, I do try to update it. It's just very difficult when I'm writing shows and stuff like that. And again, if you know anybody that wants to be on the show, please email me. Email in the description. So, again, I try to have guests. I don't always have guests. Sometimes I'll pop one up on my own, like I did this one and like I did the one yesterday. It's just important to me to keep these going, especially now that I have such a wide audience with all of the 6 services that I'm on. It's amazing to me because I don't think of me as anything special, I'm just a girl who cares. That's the way I look at it. I'm just a girl who cares. And to have the encouragement of my friends on Facebook, of my friends on Instagram, some wonderful YouTubers who have been so kind to me. And I can remember when I was a kid, the thing that got me through it were 2 things: books because reading was a major escape. My mother always said, a book will take you places you may never go in real life. You can go there in a book. And professional wrestling. Anybody who knows me knows that I'm a wrestling fanatic. I like old school stuff. Excuse me. And watching that and hearing the good guys talk about how they love their fans and stuff, and somebody cares about me besides mom and dad, because mom and dad, you almost feel like, well, they kind of have to. But after seeing some of the moms and dads I've seen on some videos lately, no, they don't really have to, but you'd think that they would. Like I said, those are the things that got me through. I had a miserable summer working for the neighborhood youth corps at the local vocational technical high school, and what got me through it was coming home every day and watching wrestling. So I was watching Old World Class on ESPN at the time, and I've been very fortunate to meet people in the business, to talk to people in the business. I get DMs over on Twitter from Christopher Daniels, the Fallen Angel. I mean, that's crazy. I never in a million years thought that would happen. Frankie Kazarian has tweeted to me. Francine from ECW has tweeted to me. I mean, Roddy Piper has not only tweeted to me, but I talked to him on the phone on his podcast. He was the sweetest, most fatherly, most kindest person ever. And I cried because I couldn't believe it. I just couldn't believe it. I talked to Jim Cornette on the phone. Jim Cornette is actually one of the nicest people that I've talked to. Yeah, corny has his moments, but lovely man. I run Bobby Eaton's Facebook group. That's crazy. He endorsed that group. He has passed away. And that was absolutely horrible. I talked to him when he was in the hospital before, not at the end. Sweet man. Sweet, sweet man. And so all those dreams I had as a kid, and thinking about how these wrestlers, cared about their fans and stuff, and it came true, and I'm so blessed to have had the opportunity to meet some, to talk to some. I know that not everybody has had that, who's a fan of the business, and I just love it. And I actually got an email, going back to books, from my favorite childhood author, Judy Blume. That meant the world to me when I emailed her at her website, and she emailed me back herself. Just beyond my wildest dreams. And I have quite an autograph collection because I'm not afraid to write a letter, So, thank you. Thank you so much for listening to me talk. I appreciate it. I really, really do. Please listen to some of the other podcasts where I actually talk to other people. I highly encourage you to do that. Check out my YouTube channel. Kidmissing has an Instagram. Kidmissing has a Facebook page. We're all over the place. We have a TikTok, which I do post videos on. So check all of that out. All of those links are in every description on YouTube, by the way. So, thank you so much again. God bless you, and I will talk to you again. Have a great rest of your day.